Urban Network Analysis in Healthcare, Geodesign, South America 2017, Strategic Planning for Alternative Futures. New possibilities to study the cities and its problems. This case study aimed to demonstrate the potential of territorial and health investigations regarding the possible spatial constraints of greater or less access to health centers and in an urban context of living. It aims to enrich the debate in the direction of health in Brazil. Our start point is the concept adopted in Peckham Health Centre building in London. It was considered that such a kind of centre should spread the sense of health more than the idea of disease treatment. Thus, it was built located in a specific working class neighborhood, which used the building to socialize while prevent health problems. In Belo Horizonte, the health centers were distributed considering some areas inside the sanitary districts. There are 147 urban healths to cover all the country of Belo Horizonte. Considering the concept of proximity and socialization previously presented, this case examines the pedestrian access to the health centers in the limits established previously by the central systems of health of Brazil. To do so, we use ArcGIS and ArcMap tool named the Urban Network Analysis that consider a model of one network of streets represent its vertices, corners, and the connections streets. The first thing was calculating the declivity of the territory and migrating that data to each of the approximately 6,000 segments of the streets. After, we used the resource of modeling the calculation of the declivity mean of the street segments using 3 points, that means the beginning, midpoint, and end. So the data of a slope from each street was joined to the segments. To see more in detail, pause the video. Once create that data, it was transferred to streets. Considering we were focusing on the pedestrian movement, we use both table which indicates the velocity of pedestrian accordingly to the declivity. The next step was creating a network dataset considering the direction of the streets in order to compare the results in a calculation for vehicles access. We summarize this procedure showing how the software can identify one-way streets notation accordingly to digitation from the initial point to the final point of the segment of the street. Evaluators inform the software about the rules and the values to consider in the calculation. In our case, we needed to create expressions to find the impedance value to each street segment. The model to calculate impedance to vehicles are described in the two scripts shown. Pausing the video in order to clarify. Despite suggesting the use of a specific column to identify one-way segments in ArcGIS, we use the maps from OpenStreetMaps, which are already annotated with information about one-way. So, the pedestrian impedance was thus using the relations between velocity and the slope of the pavements. Pause the video to grasp better. The results were studied in two ways: isochronic areas of the reach of the health center by the pedestrian in 5, 10 and 15 minutes, which is broadly used as a measure of walking distance, and other where the results point out the area covered by walking 30 minutes. In both cases, we can see that there are a lack of continuity in the walking distance, and the neighborhood cannot access the corresponding centers while walking from their house. It indicates that the initial concept mentioned is far from to be reached in such a urban configuration. Another view of the results were the time of ambulances reach the centers. In this way, only few areas with no dwellers were represented in white, whereas the limit of 15 minutes covered the rest of the territory. Just to test the model once more, one fragile area of the county was studied representing the Euclidean distance of each house to the centers. It unveils a serious problem of access to health because some areas in yellow are left without the pedestrian access to the centers. This study invites other considerations and transdisciplinary discussions in order to create information to guide the administration of the city health system.